Mr. Governor, thanks for joining us again. It's the second time we're talking in 2 weeks. Thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure.
All right, so you called for a stakeholder meeting that included former governors and members of the National Assembly in your state to decide what to use this money for. Have you now arrived at a decision?
Yes, I will say we did. The whole essence of usually inviting major stakeholders is not necessarily on this. In most cases, when we receive money on NG cares, I invite the stakeholders and disclose to them how much we receive and what to do with it. When we receive money on the ACRESAL, for instance, I invite them and tell them, anytime we receive any significant amount of resources, usually I like to get everybody involved. Our leaders on the traditional council side, our leaders on the political side, our leaders on the youth and the party and the rest of that. So usually on the security side. So I invite them usually to disclose to them, this is what we receive and this is what we are thinking, but what are you thinking? So to answer your question, yes, there is a major road actually that is going to shorten the distance between Lafia and Abuja by more than an hour. And that is a road that goes directly from Lafia, towards Kefi. And that road is going to cut so many other major towns, Shabu, Nasarawa, Igon, Akwanga, Garaku, and the rest of that. So it is going to shorten the trip by almost like, and that road actually was initiated by the previous governor, my predecessor, Tankwal Makura. He's the one who started the road, but then it stopped halfway and then more or less abandoned. So since we received this kind of resources, we are thinking of putting it directly on that road. That's the agreement with the major stakeholders.
Is that different from the Kwandere to Sabongida road, which we heard was supposed to be a priority?
That's correct.
Oh, beautiful. So your predecessors had some amazing things to say about you at that meeting. Let me play for you exactly what former governors Abdullahi Adamu and Tanko Amakura had to say.
For me, as a former governor, and given my little experience stretching over a period of about 50 years of watching government in, government out at the federal and state level, it is the first time that a governor is opportuned to have some approvals of financial commitments that the federal government has in relation with the state government, and having a refund of the monies involved, and for the governor to summon stakeholders all over the state to get them informed with this financial development and to share with them how the money came about and what the refund is supposed to be.
We are with you. We'll continue to support you. We'll continue to counsel you. We'll continue to advise you so that together we can take Nasarawa to the next level. What we are doing is akin to seeing is believing. And we are seeing when we are believing.
They ended up passing a vote of confidence on you for what they called your extraordinary performance. But I think it is the people that would decide whether you have performed extraordinarily or not. But what does this say, Mr. Governor, about your relationship with your predecessors, especially given earlier reports of animosity amongst you?
Well, sometimes what you hear outside may not necessarily be what is in there. I think I have denied any animosity many times between us. Indeed, one of the reasons why we continue to live in peace in Nasarawa State is our ability to be able to resolve our differences amicably. So I'm full of appreciation for their support, because at no time have I ever gone to any one of them, either collectively or individually, as well as those in the National Assembly, those at the State Assembly, and the party to ask for support, and they have not supported me. So, but you know, outside you will continue to hear a lot of things, and I'm sure that now you have seen some issues. And what former Governor Abdullahi Sule mentioned, that this is the first time he's seen it. He is not talking of necessarily this particular period. He's saying this is the first time he's seen a governor actually always coming to disclose what is happening in his 50 years of experience, you know, as somebody who has been in government. Not that the 9.57 billion is the only one that has been ever been disclosed. When we received 26 billion from NGK, as we disclosed. When we received 13 billion from NGK, as we disclosed, you know, so that's what he meant. And I'm forever grateful to them because I'm learning from them every day. Yeah, that's what it is.
Let us quickly touch on infrastructural development in Nasarawa. You have confirmed that President Tinubu is expected in June to inaugurate some projects. I understand this was part of the 30 billion naira you approved last year for construction projects, including phase 2 of the new government secretariat. Aside from the symbolic value of these projects, what real-time economic benefits do they bring for residents? And how did your administration justify these investments within your broader midterm priorities?
Well, actually, there are about 5 projects we earmarked for Mr. President to commission, but we are going to concentrate on about 3 or 4, you know, because we don't want to take Mr. President outside. So what we will do is probably to go and have videos of some of those things that he's supposed to do. The first thing that is very dear to me is our effort in agriculture, you know, where we are actually farming about 10,000 hectares of land. And then we have so many other villagers that are doing that. We are supporting them, and we are also carrying out the farming activities. And you know, we had our first harvest where the Vice President came during the harvest and then saw the amount of rice and the tractors and everything that we are doing. So that's one. The second one is actually in the area of education, which a lot of people may not see. You know, we are promoting technical and vocational education, where we had about 2,000 technicians that graduated, and then again the Vice President was there during the graduation ceremony, and then we had people like Bishop Kuka who were there, you know, and then so many people similar to that. Again, I want to say that's the kind of thing that probably we just have to play the videos, not taking the president. So you see, these ones have direct impact on the people, number one. The second one, on the one that you are talking about, is the secretariat. When I came, we didn't have a secretariat whatsoever, you know, and the secretariat is where entire activities, you know, of government operations will be taking place, you know, because right now, any investor that comes to Lafia, when you are directing them, you have to direct them from one secretariat to another, to one building here, one building there, because we don't have a secretariat. So the secretariat is going to ease for investors coming in, and we are also building next to the secretariat and next to Government House, you know, a building called the Multi-Door Courthouse, you know, is also being sponsored by the World Bank. The Nasarawa State is one of the 6 states that have qualified for that money, and we receive it, called SABA. You know, that's the one that we are going to have one building, which is a one-stop shop, where any investor coming into Nasarawa State in the area of agriculture, area of mining and everything, he's going to come to that place, and then everything about investment in Nasarawa State will be discussed and will be done for him. Approval he will get at that moment and then leave. If there are conflicts, that's why it's called Multi-Door Courthouse. If there are any conflicts, either with the land, with the community, that's where it will be resolved. And of course, we have done the dualization to ease that. One of the places that we have always had problems in Lafia is at the 2 junction, the 2 roundabout, where we have built now an underpass, and then automatically we build another, you know, flyover. So it's a network of road network that is not very commonly seen around here, you know, which Mr. President is going to come, and we are going to name it, you know, after Mr. President. You know, so those are the kinds of things Mr. President is coming to see in the state, and then it's an opportunity actually for us to do a lot.
So your predecessors say that you have been transparent and that you carry them along with your expenditures. Interestingly, you're also the first governor to disclose your security vote on this show. Even though you did not tell us the figure specifically, but you mentioned that it's now up to 300 million. Maybe before this interview ends.
I can tell you straight away. No. I'm transparent enough to tell you that we came in and met 200 million naira as security vote. Security vote is still 200 million naira. We have not increased it. At one point, when we were having a lot of challenges at the junction, so the security people came and asked to make checkpoints. They increased it to 300 million. The moment we had safety on the road, we reduced it back to originally what it is. So I'm more than happy to disclose to you, and these monies go directly to the security people, and that's what it is.
So I guess we have the figure now. Nasarawa gets 200 million security vote. But I even wanted to say or ask, these projects you've talked about, did they go through public procurement review? And are you willing to publish the cost breakdown to assure taxpayers of value for money?
Let me tell you one statement that happened. On arrival in Nasarawa, I came from the private sector first. You have to appreciate my background. So I came from the private sector, and maybe if you are looking at the social media, somebody actually posted when we announced what we use and spend in construction of this road network. And we announced that we constructed everything around 16 billion naira. And somebody screamed and said that if this were to be in their own state, this will be somewhere around 100 billion. He cannot believe that it's only 16 billion that we have done that, because everything went through the BPP and went through everything that we had to do. So I don't approve anything that does not go through the BPP. And the BPP actually back established by law within the state. And that's the first thing that I did on arrival in Nasarawa State to ensure that we have that. The whole idea is to leave Nasarawa State with solid foundation as far as transparency and accountability is concerned. That's the reason why you see us doing what we are doing.
And I'm sure that residents are really counting on that. But Nasarawa has been spotlighted as one of the states with massive untapped solid mineral wealth. In fact, your lithium deposit is considered the largest in the country. What measurable progress has your administration made in mineral exploration? And what revenue really would you say Nasarawa has earned from this sector in the past 2 years?
Since my background in the oil and gas sector, when I was the MD of African Petroleum, I kept hearing Nasarawa had oil. Nasarawa is the home of solid minerals. In fact, that's our slogan, home of solid minerals. But there has never been any activity that you could see, in the state. When I came in 2019, the first ministry I visited, less than 1 month after I assumed office, in the month of June, 2019, I visited the Ministry of Solid Minerals. At the time, they didn't even have a minister. I visited them, and then I said, here I come. I want to know how many licenses were given in Nasarawa State, who were given the licenses, their locations, and what kind of mineral they were either exploring, or they were mining. So I got the complete list, thanks to the ministry. Then from there, we came up with the idea of establishing, an executive law where it says, if you are mining in Nasarawa State, we are pleading with you also to process in Nasarawa State. So we'll be able to do that. Otherwise, they were just taking sand out of Nasarawa State. So today, I'm happy to tell you that we have several processing companies. One of them, and the most famous of them is the lithium mining, which Mr. President, actually asked the Senate President to go on his behalf and commission it. And that one is only 3 million metric tons. In this month of June that is coming, then the biggest one in the country so far, and perhaps in West Africa, is going to be completed. And I'm sure we are coming back again to Mr. President to ask him to come and commission it very close to the area. And there are 2 others that are coming up, in addition to mining and tantalite. All of them are being processed today in Nasarawa State. There is tin that is being processed, lead that is being processed, tantalite that is being processed. That's where we are going.
Governor Sule, the last time we spoke, you mentioned that Nasarawa is now in a position to fund its own budget, thanks to improved federal allocations and what you called a stronger IGR base. But there's been a growing national conversation, and I'm sure you're following it yourself, urging citizens to hold governors accountable for how they are spending this significant revenue increase post-subsidy. You probably can only speak for Nasarawa, but how do you assess the broader response of governors across the country to this new fiscal reality?
I think there has been significant amount of improvement. In fact, I rushed from Jos to come to this show because according to the invitation, you know, you are going to review. I didn't know you are reviewing the one of Nasarawa. I told you we are reviewing the 2 years of Mr. President. So I left from Jos quickly to rush back here, you know, and come and speak on it. So I just left Jos. And if you go to Jos and see, Jos is a state being run by a PDP governor. And I was with him during the show this morning. And I told him, congratulations with the work that you are doing. I have seen Jos has changed completely. He said, well, I have seen also Lafia because I just went to Benue recently. I saw Lafia has changed, has now become, in fact, he made it a public statement when he went on the podium. Lafia has changed now into a true capital rather than a local government headquarters that it used to be. You know, so, and if you go to so many states, it's the same thing. You see a lot of improvement. But if you are talking of holding governors, you know, liable, you know, for what they are doing and hold them accountable, you know, let us go ahead and do that. But let me correct one statement you made earlier that Nasarawa, I said on this show that Nasarawa is capable of funding his budget. No, I think you misunderstood me. I can never say that at this moment. I'm saying that Nasarawa has the great potentials. Okay.
No, what I said was that you said you are now capable to fund state police.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying funding my budget.
No. Funding state police.
Funding state police. Okay. Okay. Funding state police, to be honest with you, we are ready. The reason why we are ready is because security that we have enjoyed in Nasarawa State is responsible for the various investors that we continue to see in Nasarawa State. So we cannot play around with that. Right. And we are going in the positive direction. Therefore, we are in a position definitely to fund our state police according to the capacity of Nasarawa State. Yes.
Quickly, let's talk about politics because your political future suddenly became a subject of controversy recently when Sulaiman Nagogo reportedly announced that you intend to contest for the Nasarawa North senatorial seat in 2027. In fact, he claimed that he got a crystal clear message from you. And then we heard from your chief press secretary describing the report as false and misleading. I'd like you to personally address this.
Well, you see, since first, let me make it clear that when I had a show, not on this TV station, another TV station, on the day that I won my Supreme Court judgment, you know, I believe my friend asked on a show similar to this that, are you going to run for Senate? And I told him categorically no, you know, because that's not the issue. As a matter of fact, about 6 months ago, I started even some quiet campaigns for a good friend of mine that I believe from my zone that deserves to be the senator. But then since then, you know, the way politics is, so many people have approached me, including this gentleman who happens to be a good friend of mine anyway. So he came and asked me, you know, I say, how can I? Because I have already made a public statement that I will not do this. He said, no, I want you to do that. I say, sir, I cannot give you any categorical statement. I already said I'm not going to do that. So he went and had some meetings with his friends. And I think when they push him, now he proved to them that he can convince me, you know, to come and run. And because he had a meeting with me, you know, before going. He did have a meeting with me, but he didn't get any answer from me. Instead, what he did was to tell them he had a meeting with me. And that's why if you look at it, he withdrew his statement that I never directed him, and I never did. That's the correct thing. So, and it's not only him. I had over 10 different people or groups that had come to me asking about Senate. And I keep telling them, I have not even been 2 years in office yet. So why even rush about this position for Senate or this and that? You know, it's as far as I'm concerned, I intend to make this my last 2 years to be the best 2 years that I have ever put in government since
absolutely,
my 8 years
but I also know that you are not politically naive because 2 years to 2027, you know, campaigns have indirectly started. So you said no 2 years ago, but you are now under pressure. Are you likely to say yes to a senatorial bid?
I don't know. I'm still on the campaign train for my friend, who I believe very strongly that he deserves that position from our zone. I'm still working on that, but I'm still also working on him. He has not yet accepted that he wants to go. You know, so I'm still working on him. So I think it's very dicey right now for me to tell you yes or no.
All right. But it sounds like the usual political narrative I've had, you know, covering politics in Nigeria, Governor Sule. But I guess we'll find time to discuss this subsequently. As we approached May 29, how do you want history to remember Governor Sule? if your tenure ended today, what would be the one unfinished business that keeps you up at night?
Well, number one, I came in with this mantra that industrialization of Nasarawa state to create employment and economic empowerment of our people. I came in with full-fledged agricultural idea. And one of the biggest, being my background, I came in with ensuring that Nasarawa state becomes an oil-producing state. And I have worked so hard in that area. I have worked with the NMPC, I have worked with some of the oil service companies, I have worked with some of the investors in the E&P sector, because that is my background. So, and we have not been successful. So far, it's only the exploration well that has been drilled. And believe me, it is not my responsibility, but I have gone to the extent of even trying to see if I can find investors who can visit the NMPC and take over the block, get this thing, and go into a full-fledged exploration exercise and go even into development of the oil block. These are some of the unfinished businesses that I have in Nasarawa state.
But might be a good place to leave it. Governor Abdullahi Sule, Governor of Nasarawa State, thank you so much for coming again on the show. Hopefully we'll talk to you sometime soon.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.